Head straight into this game here. We have here in the bottom left of Team 80 Cooler Master. He is the Teal Protoss. He is Giant against his yellow or orange opponents from Team 2legit2quit. It's Yona.
Yep, and I saw some of these guys that were in that do legit to quit. I gotta find a different name for them though. It's a little bit of an awkward name to keep saying. I did see someone saying in the chat a homage to Naniwa. I did like that at the beginning, but apart from that, it's just an awesome team. It's an all-star team.
It is an all-star team, and yeah, it looks like these games were observed by a lot of teammates, which is where we seem to get the replays. So yeah, I believe Yona is not the only high-level player in this team, but we will see which ones are also apparent in this team at a later stage. We have Yona, of course, in the top right, and you know a lot of people would, of course, ranking above Giant. So the question is really, how much better is he going to be than Giant, and what kind of strategies is he going to employ because of that?
Yep, definitely. I was just checking the chat there for a little bit. There was some upset going back and forth, but sorry again for not casting all of the games out of the first series. Of course, it does look like an early scout from Jonas is going to confirm the gateway opening, and Yona is one of the players that I had very high hopes of in the Dutch StarCraft League, but he did get knocked out, I believe, by Optimus quite early on.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So Yona still has a drone in his opponent's base, just gonna scouting around. Apparently there's a 2legit2quit team house coming coming soon, because they are the Academy of Double Dutch Dragons. I got a lot of that kind of banner going on in chat. So yeah, Giant, I expect him to be playing quite solid, because well, you really want to play your best against a player like Yona, who's of course a Grandmaster level player. And you gotta play, well, you don't have to, but usually it's the best to just play in a way that you feel comfortable playing against him, and just to be able to show your best.
Well, Giant is actually a very good player. I mean, it's the Academy team of AT, so we're not going to see their best players, but I wouldn't be surprised if Giant is one of the best, if not the best player in the Academy, because Giant is someone I've casted before, and he's definitely no pushover, but against someone like Jonah, you gotta favor Jonah a little bit there, but it's not going to be beyond Giant to make something happen. Spawning pool does finish up for Jonah. He's making a pretty safe build, but on this map I can't imagine, because it's pretty hard to take your third base as a Zerg player on this map.
Yeah, it's pretty hard because of the easy approach that a Protoss has towards your third, so it's really hard to defend. Like, if you defend on one side, you can get force fielded in or out, and the Protoss can just march into your natural, and the other way you can just force field you out and kill your third with a lot of sentries. And sentries are what Giant is currently producing out of his gateway. The more sentries, the better, I would say, on this map. It's a fun map with a lot of ramps, a lot of angles you can come in from, and I really think it fits both player styles. You know, as Yona likes speedlings, Giant likes to play standard with big armies, Colossus, sentries, the whole thing. And it really suits either player's styles, I feel.
Yep, and I mean, so we do see Giant starting that giant wall of at the front of his base, but it's all still pretty standard here in my eyes, right? I don't see anything that's really going to indicate the pace of this game. Jonas doing a good job of scouting so far. I gotta say that he's pulling in the overlords and just taking a look every now and then to really know what's going on. But the Stargate that's coming up is being built on the front, and does that Overlord spot it? Yep, it's straight inside of the Overlord actually.
Yeah, it is in vision of the Overlord. Now, I was going to comment on Giant's decision at the wall off. Like, he did get a decent scout off, but 6 minutes is like a standard circling speed timing. If Yona had made a bunch of circlings, he could have just ran in, because his sentry is currently in the main poking away at an Overlord, which is of course somewhat worth it, but there is actually not a cannon yet at the wall off. You know, he could just run in with circlings if he so wanted to. So I think Giant made a bit of a mistake for going with the sentry after that Overlord, but it was not punished. Like, yeah, it could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's not punished at all. And Giant is going to follow this up with some Phoenixes. That makes the most sense to me though, because Phoenixes is something that if it gets scouted, it's still very good, and an Oracle is something that if it gets scouted, it's usually not going to do that much. And Phoenix just gives you such good control as the Protoss player. It's going to force all of the Overlords away. You're gonna get some Overlords kill for free for sure, and it just gives you a good sense of what your opponent is doing. And it's also going to force out like either Corruptors or Hydras.
Yeah, Yona doing the best to retreat all of the Overlords. He doesn't have any other on the map, so Giant is only going to get one free Overlord kill here. He's made a couple of links and will now be scouting out the map for any hidden proxy panels. There is a probe hidden all the way to the right side, and this circling will spot it. Nice job here by Yona, who will now be taking map control without further any doubt. And Giant really he's in a bit of a tough spot if you wanted to make anything happen at this point. But right now he's just building sentries, Phoenixes, taking up the Robo. I expect him to take a third, not too far from here, and transition into more of a Colossus-based composition.
Yep, and that's exactly what I expect. I like to see the production depth. There was like 5 or 6 Spore Clones underway and a Hydra Dan. So Jonah's definitely not going to take a lot of damage here from these Phoenixes. That's just something that is for sure. He is queuing up more Phoenixes though, but the robotics facility is going to be a good counter to the Hydras. I gotta say, if he starts getting some Colossus out, that would be great. But that's still a little bit away, and looks like Giant does want to take his third base, but that seems to be something that is very risky in my eyes, because a Roach Hydra or a Zergling Hydra push could be devastating without any AoE.
Well, the Roach just seems like a bit of an odd choice at this point. Like, he has a lair, and his Roach Horn is about to finish up, but it's quite late, so he isn't going to be getting Zergling speed, Roach speed. He does get +1 range, and he finished an Infestation Pit. So I think Jona's unit of choice here will be the Swarm Host. Meanwhile, the Phoenix is flying in, picking up quite a few drones quite cost effectively, but also flying into the spores, taking a bit of unnecessary damage. Ooh, more drones here, which do not get picked off actually.
I don't know about the Swarm Host though, because that would be a little bit awkward. Like,
yeah,
the Swarm Host could still get countered by the Phoenix quite hard, and I think he needs a little bit of a better creep spread, which is quite hard to do with Phoenix on the map. The Hydras are queued up though, and so is the Roach speed, so it looks like it's going to be a Roach Hydra push, and I think that could be very good with the lack of Colossus. When he does finish his robotics base, so there is going to be the start of production. But I think there's going to be a window for Jonah to really put pressure on that third base.
Yeah, there is indeed. The reason he got the quick infestation pit is because he wanted to go up the hive. This is like a 11-15 minute hive, which is ridiculously fast. He's doing it out of a lot big economy as well, with 3 bases completely saturated, not a whole lot of harassment happening with these Phoenixes. However, on the other side of the map, Giant is getting his plan into fruition as well. You know, he's on 3 bases as well. 3 base Protoss is quite scary, even though his third base isn't quite as well saturated at this point. And yeah, he's making Colossus. He's getting. Did he get a Void Ray?
Yeah, he did get a Void Ray. Yeah.
He has a couple sentries, so his composition is going to be beefing out rather heavily as well. And Yona is actually going up to this hive for the Vipers, which is a very nice move.
Yeah, I think the one thing we didn't anticipate, Jeroen, is that Jonah just thought that his opponent was going to have Colossus way earlier. I think that's really what happened, because he never saw that window that we were talking about. He just thought like, yep, he went Phoenixes straight up to Colossus, and I'm gonna need some Vipers to deal with that, so I'm just gonna get the ideal army composition, which is Hydras to deal with the air, get some Roaches, and then Vipers to protect against the Colossus, which is an awesome army composition. He's gonna get to that very fast.
Yeah, some of the Hydras are already in a very good position with decent creep spread here. Hydra range, more Roaches under production. Really, this is going to be a classic engagement with Roach, Hydra, Viper against Colossus, Stalker, Phoenix, basically, maybe some Void Rays. We now have Storm on the way, so I think Giant is going to be making the transition into Templar eventually. I'm not sure if he spotted the fact that there's Vipers on the way, but Templar are generally the counter to them, because if you feed back a Viper, you can either one-shot it, or at least make it completely useless, because, well, Vipers don't do anything except cast spells.
That's actually completely true. Like, Vipers can't even... You don't get 2 Vipers and they charge into something like with High Templars. They're still a little bit useful, but Vipers are probably the most useless unit when they get fed back next to, well, I guess, Overseers.
I guess Infestors. Except Infestors can... Well, they can burrow, but Vipers can fly.
Useful. Yeah, that's true, though. That's true. And Infestors are, of course, just super cute to look at.
Yeah. So we have a few Templar out for Giant. He does get Storm only just now. Viper's pulling back all 3 of the Colossus. Oh my god. And the feedbacks were just not in time. 1 Colossus just gets back in time. He might get focused down. No, only half of the Zerg army actually fighting here. Nice pickups here with the Phoenixes. But Yona doesn't seem to care. He goes for the Colossus. Both time orbs have been expended, so there is no Nexus cannon. And Yona just crushes through the army of Giant with a very nice timing and nice control